In this episode of Walkabout, we explore the islands of the Buccaneer Archipelago. We take on the raging waters of the Horizontal Waterfalls.
My heart is just pumping.
Cook up a few delicacies. Come unstuck in Dugong Bay.
It had to happen in a place like this.
Get into a few fish.
7 or 8 kilos, I reckon.
Meet the locals.
Oh, yeah. Nasty little fella. Hey.
And just have a great time. The Kimberley and its offshore islands remain a true wilderness. Over 1,000 islands alone lay in the Buccaneer Archipelago. Recognised as some of the world's most ecologically diverse, they remain largely undisturbed by human influence. Raging monsoonal rivers, majestic ranges, and mangrove-lined creeks snake their way through this harsh yet beautiful landscape. Sounds like a great place to go on a walkabout. Our goal is to spend the next couple of weeks exploring the 1,000 islands of the Buccaneer Archipelago, from the port town of Derby through the Talbot Bay over 200 k's to the north. Derby has some of the biggest tides in the world, up to 12 metres of movement twice a day. So we've put in right at the top of the tide and we'll go with the flow. As you leave the safety of the Derby jetty behind, as far as the eye can see ahead is swirling brown silty water moving at an incredible 10 knots or 18 kilometres an hour, leaving me with feelings of excitement, fear and anticipation of what lays ahead in these untamed waters. It's about 2 hours by boat on a good day, or about 90 k's, before the water starts to clear up across Stokes Bay and the first of the southern islands come into view.
Just quickly, when you're doing a trip like this, a lot of travelling involved, you've got to think about it a little bit before you just take off out into the wilderness. But you need a good boat, good flat running boat this one is. Of course a good motor, 4 strokes at the go because obviously less fuel. And of course you need refrigeration. We're running a little ingle at the back for all our meats, frozen sort of things. And the tip is there, freeze the stuff up before you put it in. Lasts a lot longer. Probably wondering here what this hessian is. It's a good old trick. What we do is, that's our poly ice box. And we've got some big barrow blocks of ice in there, big frozen blocks all on the bottom, and our food in there and drinks. And what you do is you just keep that damp. We'll just wet that off now before we take off. Just lay that over and that keeps everything cool. The air rushes through and it helps preserve that ice. We've got just one main box here. We just run all our gear through that, our survival gear, and we've got cooking utensils, all that sort of stuff. But we're going to push off now. I've talked about this coming up here for years. We're here on the second walkabout, so we're going to get right into it.
Boating in the Kimberley requires a lot of rope. With these extreme tides, you need a good knowledge of how much to use. Too much, and the boat can swing around and smash into the rocks. Worse still is not enough rope, a short rope, and the boat can get pulled under with the rising tide.
Kimberley's well known for a lot of water, you know, like in a barren place like this. There's water everywhere, it's beautiful. This place here is an excellent example, real little oasis. In Durban we were talking to an old fella, he told a bit of a story about this place. Ex-and-Ex's camp, supposed to be in the back here. There's a hippie fella a couple of years ago, growing a bit of hoochie cooch. Supposed to be a bit of a camp there, a few ruins, so we'll go and check it out. Right, there she is. Camp. Let's go and have a look. Check this out. Boy, oh boy. These little rock walls everywhere. Cemented them all up. And even now, today, you know, quite good black soil there. You know, with a little bit of water, you'd be in business again. Looks like shack number 2, eh? Termites have been into it, I suppose. Little fire. Very creative. This is the sleeping quarters. Beautiful. Probably see all this wire here. Obviously he had that, he's got that there, and he would have had all that covered with some sort of leaves, foliage of some sort, so those eyes in the sky wouldn't pick him up. Ah, the throne. Toilet roll holder, I reckon. You can just imagine him sitting up here, looking around at his little garden and masterpiece. Probably chuffing on it too. Beautiful place.
These islands have long been on the map of early explorers and used well before the mainland of Australia was officially discovered. Indonesian and Malay tree hangers have fished the waters off the Australian coast for centuries. Even pirates from the spice trade route to the north used many of the bays and waterways to hide when they needed to careen their boats for repairs. Around every island and bay you'll find something special.
In behind us here, you can see the reef draining off, but there's actually a big deep hole in there. And that's what we've been looking for, because usually the fish congregate in there, they're stuck in there, nowhere to go, hopefully on the end of our rod. So we'll go and give it a bash. We've got some nice fish following me along here. Some snapper. Some big blue bone coming up. Look at that one. You just see him above the coral bommies just sitting there. He's a monster. Jeez, it's corally. Even the bottom's corally. Oh, shark just came past. Giving it to me. There we go. Oh, get him out of that coral. Oh, a beautiful little snapper. Much bigger than that, and I think the fish will all win the day.
The problem with fishing these blue holes is when you hook up, you play the fish towards the edges, which consist of coral-covered bommies, caves and ledges. making it nearly impossible to land any fish of size.
Seems to be one of every type of fish in here. But all the big ones seem to be hanging around these bommies right on the edge. So we might wait for the high tide and we'll put the boat in here and just anchor right on this drop off with the hand line. Get some big ones. Let this little fella go. That is absolutely beautiful. Look at the colours on him. A good set of teeth on him as well. Been waiting all day to get in that hole. Sun's going down. It looks like we might have to do the night in there as well on the boat. It's going to be interesting, but we'll have a few more casts. You can see the fish are they're tailing around over there, just milling around in this shallow water. There's another shot at him. Yeah, lovely. You're a real professional. You're a real professional, mate. They're still out there. He's turning. Here he is, look. Oh yeah. There's a better fish. Pulling some water. Tide's flowing in. It's only about a foot deep. All the pelagic fish are coming in. Oh yeah. He's a good fish. Look at the conditions. Just sight casting to them as they come through the water. Got ourselves a little queen fish, little skinny fish. Here we go. Look at that for a fish. He's beautiful. Got a good set of choppers on him. Everything up here needs those sharp teeth. He's a couple of kilos. He's a good fish. We'll pop him in. See how he goes. He's all right.
It was dark before we had enough water to push over the reef's edge and on into the blue hole, to spend the night on the boat and have a crack at some of those big fellas we saw cruising the reef's edge earlier.
He's got some weight in him. You can hear him, oh! Look at that beauty. Listen to him ripping away, grunting away. They're renowned for that. That's a beautiful fish. As all fish are beautiful. Look at the colour of these fish there. Black jewfish or mulloway. But as far as I'm concerned, that's a dewy. He's about 7 or 8 kilos, I reckon. Nice fish, just a baby really. I don't know what to do with this fella. He'd represent some nice fillets or steaks. So I think we'll eat him. There's plenty more down there. The sound of us going berserk anyway. And he's just a baby, so we'll leave the big breeders and we'll just take this little baby. Look at this, eh? Old headstone. There's a date on it, 1891. Over 100 years old. Fritto diver. Says it all, doesn't it? Probably a pearl diver. This harsh country, more than likely would have lost a lot of pearl divers. But imagine these divers and the explorers in this country navigating their way around here. You've got to give it to them. Real adventurers. Alright, we're going to have a bit of a look around. The wind and the elements have done a good job here. Like a sculpture you'll see in a major city. Beautiful rock. Really soft. This is beautiful. Couple more graves up here. What a view. Cemetery right up on top here. Beautiful country, nice bay either side of us. It looks to be probably about 6 or so graves there. Bit of a closer look here. Julia, 1889. Special place that. Geez, it must have been hard up here. We just spent a bit too much time up the back of the island, and this is what happens if you're not watching that tide. It just empties out of these bays so fastly. But not to worry, the fish will have to wait till later, but we'll go and get some nice oysters. Around the headland here there should be some of these big black lip ones. Look at that. Look at the colours there. Good thing about the Kimberley is you never have to try too hard to get yourself a feed. Oh, that hurt. So you can see they call that the black lip. Well, got a good feed there. So what we're going to do, we have to wait a couple of hours for the tide to come back in. So we're going to go and cook these up on the beach. I've just got these oysters sorted out here in the 3 sections. These ones here, we're going to put the kilometres on. They've got a nice deep dish. This one here is a good example, nice and deep, and then the Worcestershire sauce won't run off the side. Then we've got some here we're going to put a little bit of cheese on, and those ones there, barbecue sauce. And we'll sit back, have a beer, eat these, and enjoy that beautiful view that we have all around us up here. So build the fire, let it burn down with a lot of light, driftwood's really good, and then just flatten it right out, give us a nice area to work with so we can cover all that with oysters. Let that cool down for a few minutes and then they're ready to go. Scoop that cheese up on top. I'll try this barbecue one first, I think. Oh. That is beautiful. Better than any restaurant I've ever eaten in. Something about bush cooking though, the flavours always taste better. That's what I think anyway. And I'm sure if you're sitting here with me, you'd agree.
The Buccaneer has no shortage of safe anchorage and plenty of fresh water, 2 things that the Kimberley traveller needs. Pulling up to refill our water, we ran into a couple of yachties doing the same thing. These were the first of only a few people we met during the entire trip.
Look at this place, absolutely beautiful. Crocodile Creek. It's just across the bay from Coolan Island. It used to be an old mine. The workmen there, they made this as their weekender. And you can see everybody here, they've left a little bit of memorabilia, a name, all different sort of stuff. So when we go, we'll leave something here too, I think. Beautiful spot. We're going to camp here anyway. Fresh water here at Crocodile Creek. Just come up to have a swim. And as soon as we pulled over, our shadow went over the pond and the little jacks come out for a look. And as you can see, there's about 30 of them here, but there's some kilo jacks amongst them, some good sized fish. It also goes to show that if them jacks are in here, which are saltwater fish, well, just be careful, have a good look around before you dive in for a swim. It is fresh, but on the big tide, the salt would come into here. So it just pays to be very wary. Another beautiful morning in the Kimberley. The problem you have up here is you say, okay, we're going to have breakfast, because we always have breakfast on the boat, because we always push off early in the morning. But the problem is you just come around these coves, and each cove's beautiful, it's all different, and it's always a bit of a dilemma finding a spot for brekkie. This little spot there this morning's got us in, it roped us in this beautiful red rock and nice island, and this morning it's a beautiful glass off. Handy tip when you're up here boating because of the extreme tides, it's actually more than handy, it's an essential, is this rope and pulley system we've got here. We have to keep our boat out in the water so we can go again at any time, and this little trick here is just really simple. I'll show you. But this is the end of our line. It normally goes onto this stainless D-shackle and onto your anchor, and all we have to do is just add this D-bolt. So what this is, this end of the line goes up to the front of the boat and around the anchor roller, then back down and through this D-bolt. Anchor, front of the boat, back to the D-shackle. And then this one here, this is your adjuster to pull in. You can see now, see it's going out. Or if I pull the boat in, runs through there, in or out. That's how we get our adjustment. Now this is the boat side of things. That's all it is. That's a main rope just looped around this. So that then gives you that pulley. All we do is pull, goes around the D-bolt, pulls around here, and your boat comes in. See, we've got the stern rope anchored up the beach, up near the camp, and the bow rope, the one I got here, this one goes over here and we just tie it off on a rock. Then you can sit up there, have a beer, cook up something nice to eat, and relax, and not have to worry about the boat pulling its mooring or smashing into a rock.
Halfway through our trip, and with 200 k's behind us, we needed fuel. Up until now, no fuel was available to the recreational boatie in this area. With the opening of a fuel dump at Dogleg Creek, getting around up here was made a lot easier. A quick call on the radio and a 44 and pump was waiting.
The beauty about stops like this is that you can go further. You know, we've come up from Derby now, we're out of fuel, we can refuel and we can keep going, and actually on the way back refuel again.
After a chat and refuel at Dogleg, we're away again, pushing further around the mainland to the mysterious and majestic Dugong Bay, with its own unique ecosystems, pockets of rainforest and the most intense scenery.
Look at this here. A couple of very old paintings by the look of it. Pick it up, the circly parts here, won't touch the things, but sometimes in these areas one tribe would come in and paint and another tribe would come and paint over the top, so you get all different sort of paintings. This whole area is dot painted here. It goes over here and there's some sort of fanned painting up there. You can see bits of shell and the rocks charred from the charcoal. They would have just wandered down there and got themselves a feed. But it's not a big camp, it could be just a couple of days. But just sitting here, thinking about that view, thinking about sitting here with a fire, you could just imagine stoking away. What a life, what a place. Just spectacular. It's so quiet, so peaceful. Oh, no. Ah, damn it. It had to happen in a place like this, with tides like this. Oh, no. We're up at those paintings. We just took a little bit long. We thought we had enough time. Oh, look at the angle it's on. Lucky it never went over. Good thing is it's sat down on all the hard parts. Hasn't seen any damage anyway. What can you do? It looks like we've got 6 and 6, 9 o'clock tonight before we can float this again. So we're going to get out of this mangrove swamp, because we're getting eaten alive by sandflies and mozzies. Might go back up to some fresh water and wait it out, I think. There's not much you can do, but it will happen because these bays, we're right at the back of a place called Dugong Bay, and the tides change. We've been watching the tide and changing, but we've just travelled probably 20 or 30 nautical miles this morning, and the tide could be up by 2 or 3 hours in here. You have to be really careful, because there's nothing wrong this time, but it could have been disastrous.
What a place to spend the afternoon, watching the locals catch a feed and having the time to reflect and take in the solitude and peace of the Kimberley. At about midnight, the boat refloated without incident, and we re-anchored in the safety of the bay to catch up on some needed shut-eye. And we awoke to yet another perfect Kimberley morning. Leaving Dugong Bay behind, we headed northeast into the glassy mirror-like waters of Talbot Bay for an early morning rock bar session.
Oh, it's a flag. Spanish flag, nice size too. These are in the same family as the jack. They're a beautiful fish. Predatory fish. Oh, that is beautiful. Look at the colours on him. I'll put him back, that one. Oh. Oh, right at the boat. That's a jack, look at that. Oh, that is a beautiful fish. Absolutely beautiful. He's well hooked. We're happy to have him. Look at that for a hook, and look at that for a fish. That's what we've been chasing. Just got to persevere. Yep. Oh. A solid little hit. Little trevally again, I think. Yeah. Why we're fishing in this area is because you've got a big tide pushing out, and fish like the eddies where the water's still. Tide's pushing around the other side of this rock bar. It's quite still in here. This is where the bait would come, and this is where the fish are, because they don't have to move against the current. They're generally lazy fish, so you've got to think like a fish, and if you do that, you usually get a few. Been working the rock bars, floating down the river, and just nailed this beautiful. Look at the colour on this jack, will you? It is. Oh, he's a nice fish. They all are. Mean looking fella. Look at that eye. Oh yeah. Anything comes near you, it gets eaten. Beautiful fish. Rex would probably kiss it and put it back. I think I will, won't I? Nah, we're hungry. We're gonna eat him. Beautiful.
After a good feed, the tide was perfect to check out one of the Kimberley's rarely visited areas, Poulton Creek. To get there though, we had to pass through not only the first horizontal falls, but the more dangerous and less known second falls.
Yeah, a bit scary. Alright, let's go. We're completely airborne coming down the bucket. Woo! Oh, nice salmon. He had a whole group with him there a minute ago. Yeah. Oh, he's got another one. Oh, another one with him. Oh, beautiful fish. Oh, look at that. Look at that for a fish. Oh, heavy. Oh, slippery. Heavy and slippery. That's a blue nose. Beautiful. Beautiful fish. Let him have a little bit of a feed. And then very slowly give it to him. Straight into the snag. Still on there, look, here he comes, he'll come out, give him a little bit of slack. Here he comes. Oh! Oh, so much fun. Oh, this sort of, oh! Thank you very much. He just looked at me. You can have that back, he didn't like that. Maybe it's time for a new bit of bait. Leave that out nice and sharp. Oh, nice jack. That's a finger mark. Look at that. This is what they call the finger mark. Golden snapper is another word they get called. Finger mark brim. But, this spot here, the back of the horizontal falls, we'd love to stay and fish it properly, but Tides are so extreme here, and there's very shallow water. We've just got a little pool here, a little pond, a little bit of a hole. We really have to be heading back.
If coming in was scary, getting back out is going to be something else.
I think the best thing we'll do is just come in on an angle and try and smack that middle line. It seems to be V'ing, pulling in. This is what we call an adrenaline rush, I tell you. A boat of this size, it's over a ton, is just getting washed around like a esky lid in the surf. But, just hold our line and hope we get through it, eh? Get into it, Paulie. Let's go. I didn't think we were going to go through there. I was about to pull off the throttle, I really was. Ah, this country is just feral, honestly. That deserves a beer. It's only 9 o'clock. I'll tell you what, a shot of whiskey or something might be better. Oh, man.
The Horries are as far up the coast as we can push on this trip. It's time to turn the boat around and check out some of the outer islands on the way back down.
Oh, straight into it. Oh, I love this fishing. Oh, that's more like a little GT. Oh, they give a good account of themselves, these fellas. He's bringing the family with him. He's not a real big one, luckily, on this light gear. He's got the big ones built, and look at him go, will you? Oh. Now there we have him. Oh, I was going to just say those sickles on their tail. Said it to you before, you got to watch it. They just open you up. I'm just going to throw him straight back in because they're so tough, okay? You'll be right. We let that guy go. They're actually hassling it on the way down. They're hitting it. Here they come, look at them. Whoa! Oh! Come on, boys. Smack him. Oh! See the big fella pull in. Oh, these trevally, they are ferocious. Oh! Way! What I'll do is I'll let it drop. I'll slow the retrieve a bit. That's him. Beautiful. Another little one. Oh, he let go. Look at that. Dehooked himself. That was nice of him. Whoa! Whoa! Nice little fish. I love me fish. Doesn't matter how big they are, what type they are. They're all beautiful. Whoa, look at him giving it to him. Now that little one, he hooked up and he was petrified. Them big guys are, oh! I think they're eating him. Oh, a big one smashed him. Big GT just smashed him. Look at the size of it. Oh, it's shark. Sharks are here. See the size of that one. And they belted the living daylights out of that poor fella. Little Queenie. They're going to have him for breakfast. But you notice that? When he was all excited, those fish were into him, right? Now he's backed off, he's just floating around. They could easily take him, but they're not even interested. Now this Queenie is not looking well, and I'll tell you why in a sec. Have a look at the go on him. He's been stripped, look at this. Back tail's ripped open by that big trevally. Teeth marks here, flesh hanging off here. off this side that's grabbed him, tried to take him whole in the back. Them queenies, you know, they're a mean predator themselves, but in amongst that horde of fish, they haven't got a chance.
As the tide recedes, it leaves kilometres of exposed reef ready to explore. Sharks, trevallies, queenies and us, all looking for an easy feed.
Just here in the shallow, little turtle. Now these things can really move, I'll tell you, but I think he's been stranded, he hasn't got enough water. We'll have a look at him. Now look at that, eh? Oh, he's giving me a slapping. One's about 1 metre deep. You see these fellas shooting off everywhere. But he looks like a hawksbill turtle. Whoa, ouch. Oh, he can, oh yeah. Nasty little fella. Hey, settle down, and they bite, believe me. A set of clippers on them. Put your finger in there. You wouldn't have one for long, he's trying to slap me in the face. Oh, he's a bit stressed. We'll pop him in a bit of deeper water. Okay, there we go, little fella. Can't they move? You give him a foot of water, he's gone. Good on him. I'll get the spear and we'll go back up and have a look at that pond, eh? Oh, those fish. Rock cod or something. Look at there. That's good feed. Got ourselves a feed. That wasn't too hard at all. Nice white flesh. Here, get back to the boat before we swim back with these. With the amount of sharks in the water. No, thank you. You can probably see it's quite turbulent, a lot of wind. Big front come over today as we're heading back down the sound. So we popped into this little bay here and had a quick scout around the reef this afternoon. We got ourselves some delicacies. So we're going to have a cook up. Hopefully tomorrow this will be past this front and we'll be back to Derby, finish the trip off. Just here we've got coral trout. It's been filleted and skinned and it's just cut into some little chunks, some oyster. Over here we've got some capsicum of all different colours, flavours. And when I went to get the skewers out of the boat, we couldn't find them. So we had to improvise. Check these little beauties out. Bit of stainless steel rod we found at an old camp that I brought along, thought it might have been useful. These hollow sticks, all around here. Pop it in, beautiful. We'll knock these up quick. The old mangrove wood there's good too because keeps the sand flies away. And they've been bad. Now, while I'm doing this, I'll just run you through what else we've got. You may or may not be familiar with it. It's called trochus shell. It's like an ice cream cone turned upside down sort of thing, and they polish it up for jewellery. And you buy them in the airports, and I think a lot of it goes to Asia. But I hear it has a mussel in it, so we cracked a couple of those open. And it had a nice piece of firm white flesh in it. Next thing I'm going to do is just quickly crumb the trochus shell. Now I never brought anything to whip this up, so mine in the hands. Have to improvise sometimes, but the end result's the same. Now have a look at this. I'll show you. That's the mussel out of it. and it's quite white, soft. You can actually eat it raw, it tasted quite good too, but I'm sure it'll taste a bit better crumbed up. We'll put the whole lot in there, just cover it with the egg there, and we'll pop that straight into the bag of crumb. Okay, next thing we'll do is we'll get this fire out to the side and we'll get this on the cook. This is the troker shell. We're just going to put on a couple of these kebabs. See the wire, you can bend it up. Very similar to an abalone. Okay, everything's just about ready to go. We've got a troker shell here, we've got the oysters, and we've got our shish kebabs. And that stainless steel's quite hot. But we'll manage. Have a look at that. Another perfect day in the Kimberley.
As I opened up the throttle and pointed the boat south through the last of the bottom islands and into the vast, lonely waters of King Sound, I couldn't help but think I'd only just scratched the surface of this special, untouched wilderness they call the Buccaneer Archipelago. With the weather clear and glassy seas ahead, the run back to Derby was smooth and peaceful. The change from turquoise to green and finally brown silt let me know that the trip was coming to an end.
Well, we started here in Derby. She's all over. I tell you, it's good after a trip like that to be standing back here where we started. So it just proves you don't have to be anybody special to enjoy what we've just done and what you've just seen. It was beautiful, loved it. But anyway, mine's ticking over. We've got more trips to do, and I hope to see you again when we go walkabout. See you later.